What is going on? Hope you're having a great weekend. It is Saturday, June 26th. It is 7:51 p.m. and I'm at home, as you can see. No, this isn't a blue screen or anything like that. I'm not that awesome. I don't do any editing or anything. Um, so why am I still at home? I was supposed to be doing that dedicated run. Well, the dedicated run fell through. Um, the broker, I won't say pissed me off, but there was a lot of drama with the dedicated run, and I decided to just not do it before I even started my first run. So I'll go into more detail about the dedicated run and other things that I tried to do. I ended up, I looked at another dedicated run after that one fell through. I looked at a couple other runs. I ended up finally getting a load yesterday, Friday, and it picks up Monday. So I've got the weekend, and then I'm hitting the road again. So we'll talk about what happened with the dedicated run, what happened with all the loads that I looked at, why I didn't get any of them, why I did get the one I eventually did. Um, what else? What else do I want to talk about? First, I want to give like a quick review of Landstar. I've been with Landstar for about 90 days. It's been about 3 months. I haven't like done a lot of load stuff in here. I've mainly been taking home time or time off out on the road. So I haven't like done a lot with Landstar. Like the amount of loads I've done with Landstar could have easily been done in less than a month. Probably in like 2 or 3 weeks. I've done 2 or 3 weeks of loads with Landstar in the last 3 months. So give you some kind of context for my review that I'm about to give. Um, what else? What else do I want to talk about? We may look at the load board. I'm going to. We'll save it for later. I got a load going to somewhere, and we'll look at loads coming out of that area. But the load doesn't deliver until the middle of next week, and the best loads are the ones that pick up like today or tomorrow. So booking a load a week out, there's usually not like really good loads that far out. They're that far out on the load board. They're trying to get the cheapest price that they can, and then as they get closer and closer to that pickup time, and nobody's taking the load for that price, they get more desperate. The prices start going up. So I'm probably going to wait until after I deliver the load to book another load, unless something amazing pops up between now and then. I am looking, and we'll take a look at the load board. It's weekend, so all that we're going to see on the load board is the crap that's already been picked through. So it's just the leftover scraps. So it's not going to be a bunch of good loads, but we'll look at it anyway. So I can't remember what else I wanted to talk about in this video, so we'll just start out with the Landstar review. My opinion of Landstar. Let's talk about my work experience so far in trucking. So like 15 years ago, I got my CDL for the first time. I drove for about approximately somewhere in the area of 3 years. I can't remember exactly. I started out with Swift, then I did line haul with Conway Western Express, which is now XPO. And then I went back over the road with a small carrier doing hazardous waste, mainly hauling barrels of old batteries and stuff across the country to hazardous waste dump sites. There's one just south of Little Rock, and then there was one in southwestern Nevada, and I think there was also one. I can't remember if I picked up from or I was dumping shit in Washington, in western Washington. I think I might have been picking up stuff out of there. But anyway, and then I went back local again, working for a friend, and he wasn't paying me what we agreed. So, and then I just gave up on trucking. I was like, this isn't for me. It didn't work out. So then, I went back to my profession I was in before trucking, and I was pretty decent at that profession. I made a good living at it, worked at a good company, and then I got the itch to get back into trucking, and I started planning, and I did a couple of years of planning before I finally pulled the trigger. I quit my job, and this was in January of 2020. I quit my job, went back through CDL school, got my CDL again because I had surrendered my CDL. I got sick and tired of doing medicals every couple of years to keep my CDL, so I surrendered it. Went back through the whole process, hired on with USA Truck in February of 2020 as a trainee, as a student, and did a month of living with somebody else in a truck, doing on-the-job training. Then I got my own truck. I was a solo company driver for 3 months. Then I bought a truck, and I became an owner-operator in June of 2020, and I leased on to USA Truck, and I was with USA Truck as an owner-operator until March 31st, I believe, of 2021 was when I broke my lease with USA Truck and signed a lease with Landstar. So that's where I'm at. That's my trucking experience. And Landstar, they get the thumbs up. They're positive. It's a very positive review with Landstar. I don't have a whole lot of negative things to say about Landstar. Everything has not been perfect. I've had a lot of issues with brokers, and I've reached out to Landstar one time to handle issues with brokers, and I'm going to tell you that it wasn't a very satisfactory resolution. The broker just basically, nothing changed. Landstar wasn't able to get anything to change. Landstar, in my opinion, the brokers are way the hell up here, and the drivers are way the hell down here. Landstar treats the brokers a lot different than the drivers. The brokers at Landstar are exactly the same as the drivers. They're independent contractors. They're leased on to Landstar just like the drivers are. They're not Landstar employees. They have the exact same relationship that the drivers have with Landstar. So they are leased on to Landstar just like we are. And they treat them very different. The brokers seem like they can do no wrong. The drivers, Landstar is incredibly strict on the drivers. They are really quick to fire or terminate contract. I mean, I guess you can't fire somebody that's not an employee, but they're really quick to terminate contracts. I was just talking with Carl at the shop at Big Rig Product. I was getting my APU worked on. He was also getting his APU worked on. And Carl said that he had been with Landstar for 35 years. I think he has been with Landstar since they started. And, he and I talked a lot about Landstar. And, he talked about how quick they are to fire people, terminate contracts. He told me, I forget what the terminology is, but Landstar has like a 1,000,000-mile driver club, but it's not a 1,000,000-mile driver. It's, you have to get voted in. You have to meet a lot of requirements, and then on top of that, you have to get voted in by your fellow drivers. I forgot what the title is that Carl told me, but he said that he is one of those drivers. He's the driver, whatever. I'm sure some Landstar person knows what in the hell I'm talking about. But to somebody that's not Landstar, it's basically like the 1,000,000-mile driver club, but it's a lot more exclusive than the 1,000,000-mile safe driver club. So Carl is one of those drivers. He said that there was another one of those drivers that was in that exclusive club with Landstar that got terminated for their setting duck policy. And he was parked way off the roadway, 2 lanes off the road, on the gravel. So, he didn't go into great detail explaining what it was, but the way he described it was like it was a turnout. You know how you have the road, and then you have the big wide shoulder, and then sometimes there'll be a place where you can turn off the road and park off of that off the shoulder. There'll be like a turnout. And you see those a lot on highways. Well, from what he was describing, that's what it sounded like this guy was parked in. And Landstar terminated his contract. I don't know how they found out he was parked there. Somebody probably reported him. He was probably doing the same route over and over and over again, and that was his parking spot where he would stop for the night every night. And he'd probably been doing it dozens or hundreds of times, and finally somebody saw him and reported him. Um, but I mean, there's zero tolerance with Landstar on the drivers, and I see the brokers doing all kinds of stupid, crazy nonsense, and nothing seems to happen to the brokers. The brokers really make the driver's life kind of miserable over here at Landstar. It really sucks dealing with the brokers over at Landstar. Um, they are a real pain in the ass to deal with, and people complain about them all the time. In my short existence at Landstar, I've complained about brokers to the customer service department at Landstar. Nothing happens to them. Um, the attitude that Landstar had about my issue with the brokers was just like, shit happens. Um, I think the problem is that the safety department is overly strict at Landstar, and the customer service department is like a no fucks given kind of department. Well, most of the issues with drivers are safety related issues. The customer service department is mainly working with agent issues. And the safety department, like, where does safety have to deal with brokers? Safety doesn't have to deal with brokers very much. Safety is mainly they're dealing with drivers, and safety is insanely strict. So I think that's the problem on why brokers just get to run free at Landstar, and it's a pain in the ass to deal with those sons of bitches, and Landstar will not get rid of any of them. Whereas the drivers, they fuck up one time, a minor fuck up, and they're done. That's it. There's no talking about it. It's over. You break any of Landstar's rules, they don't have like some disciplinary program. You're not an employee. This isn't an employee-employer relationship. There's no program of progressive disciplinary action or anything like that to correct behaviors. If you break one of Landstar's rules, you are breaking your contract between you and Landstar. And when you're in breach of contract, they just terminate the contract. That's it. I'm sure that there may be exceptions on things that they'll let you slide and they'll give you a second chance on. For instance, they told us that if you have any log violations in relation to personal conveyance, then you lose. They'll shut off your personal conveyance option on your ELD for a year, and then they'll review you, and you might be able to get it back after a year. If you have a second violation, I think it's just permanently. Personal conveyance is like permanently shut off on your ELD. You'll never ever get it back. And like a third violation, you're terminated. Your contract is terminated. There are a few exceptions on like progressive disciplinary action type stuff at Landstar. But for the most part, if you break one of their rules in the contract, if you breach the contract, then they just terminate it. So yeah, the only negative thing I have to say about Landstar is the brokers. And that's about the only people I interact with at Landstar. Landstar does not bother me. I don't talk with Landstar. The only times I talk with Landstar is usually whenever I reach out to them for something. I hit them up for, a bill of lading or something like that. Not like blank. Sometimes you have to write your own bills of lading, and if you run out of them, you hit Landstar up and be like, hey, can you send me some more blanks? Stuff like that. You'll hit them up for stuff like that. But normally a bill of lading issue, you're reaching out to the broker on a load if you're dealing with a bill of lading issue with the load. But for whatever reason you need to hit up Landstar, then that's about the only time I have contact with them. Landstar is like a really hands-off manager. Imagine, if you've ever had a job where you had a hands-off manager, one of those managers that you never talked with them unless you fucked up. So that's what Landstar is like. If Landstar is ever contacting you, something's probably wrong. Um, they're not like a micromanaging type company. They're very, 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 very hands off unless something goes wrong. Um, and then they have like a knee jerk reaction. Like they go overboard with how they respond to stuff. So if they have to get involved, it's probably not a good thing. Um, but the brokers, man, we'll talk more about the brokers whenever we look at the load board. But it's really hard to describe what it's like dealing with these brokers. They're salespeople. They are salespeople. Imagine a commission-based salesperson. If you've ever had to interact with a commission-based salesperson, car salesman, um, like I don't know what's another common commission-based salesperson. Real estate agents. Um, those are probably the two most common commission-based salespeople that people interact with, and it's like dealing with them. It's it's like it sucks. They lie, they omit information, important information, they deceive, they just they mislead. I mean, it's really. We'll talk more about that later. So yeah, my review of Landstar is very positive. One of the issues I had with USA Truck is that I take a lot of time off. I take time off on the road. I take time off at my house. I might sit at my house for 3 or 4 weeks. I might sit at a truck stop after I deliver a load for a week. USA Truck would start hitting me up after a couple of days and be like, hey, when are you going to take another load? I need to know. So that our capacity planners know how many loads to book for the load board. So they needed to keep track of how many people were looking for loads at all times so that they could figure out how many loads they needed to go out and find to put on the load board. I don't know like how they ran their business, but they told me that if they went out and agreed, every load that was on their load board was a load that they agreed to move. And if they couldn't find somebody to move that load, then it looked bad on them with whoever they agreed to move that load with. They would basically have to cancel that load at the last minute if nobody agreed to haul it, if it didn't get covered. So they were really like the capacity planners. It wasn't the driver managers necessarily. It was the capacity planners that were harassing the driver managers at USA Truck to get them, information on the number of available trucks and to push people to get loads off the board. So the capacity managers were micromanaging the driver managers, and the driver managers were put in this position where they were like forced to reach out to the drivers and harass the drivers to get them to book loads. Like they would call you up if you hadn't booked a load yet, and they'd be like, hey, why haven't you booked a load? There's a whole bunch of loads on the board. You should book a load. I don't want to get those fucking phone calls. When I would be at home doing home time, hey, when are you coming off home time? We need to know. I don't know. Probably at least a week. And they're like, okay, I'm going to set your availability out to next week. If you're going to be out longer than that, let me know. That kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that I dealt with. And if you were going to be home more than 10 days, then they wanted you to turn your trailer in. Which is, that right there I don't have a problem with. That is completely understandable. They're leasing a lot of these trailers, and the cost of the trailer goes up on whenever you're looking at it. Like you look at the cost associated with how much it is to your fixed cost. You need to compare them against your revenue, and if your revenue is mileage based or it's load based, if that equipment is just setting, then that is just pure cost. You have nothing offsetting that cost. So that I did not have a problem with, but the harassment, the constant calls and stuff, I've never had Landstar contact me. I've sat at my house for 2 to 3 weeks. I've sat out at a truck stop for over a week. I've never had Landstar reach out to me and ask me, like, when are you going to book another load? Hey, we need your trailer. You've been sitting for too long. We're going to take your trailer. Now, Landstar flat out told me that they have the same policy as USA Truck, 10 days. If you set for 10 days, then they're going to most likely take your trailer from you. They'll send somebody out to take your trailer. I've never had an issue with that. I've never had that happen. I've never been contacted by Landstar. And I've sat for over 10 days before. So, yeah, I have a very positive review of Landstar. And the number of loads, the quality of loads, the load pay and everything is phenomenal. So it's real easy to make more money here than USA Truck. USA Truck's a great place to lease onto. Nothing against them. I'm glad that I chose them to lease onto as my first carrier. And if you cannot get on with Landstar, I think USA Truck is a really good alternative. But I do think Landstar is the best place that you can lease onto. So that was a lot longer review than I had planned on doing. Now let's talk about that dedicated account. So let's flip over the spreadsheet. I've still got it on here. I haven't deleted it yet. This is where it's a whole bunch of random crap everywhere, where I was just breaking down the loads on some dedicated runs that I was thinking about doing. So this one right here is a dedicated run that goes from Kansas City to Seattle to Portland, Omaha, Nebraska, and then back down to Kansas City and starts all over again. So it's 2 loads, one from Kansas City to Seattle and another one from Portland to Omaha. The Kansas City to Seattle load pays like $3.71 a mile, and then the return trip from Portland to Omaha pays like $2.43 or $2.46 a mile. It's a really cheap load. But the two come out to where your total rate per mile, I did not figure out what the rate per mile is on what the load is paying on average. I guess that I could do a reverse math here. I'll just put it right here in this column next to it. Like the rate per mile that I would be making on the load on all the miles is $2.03 per mile. So let's do equals sum of what is this? I-21 divided by 0.65. Why is that coming up as a bad value? 202 divided by 0.65. Yeah, why is that? What did I do wrong? Oh, it's probably because I have a 0 in there, maybe? No. That's the correct formula. Oh, it's J21, not I21. I21 is RPM. It's not a valid value. Like, did I do something wrong? Okay, so there it is. Sorry. So what I make rate per mile on that is $2.02 per mile, and what the average that load pays is $3.11 per mile. That's like the halfway point between $3.71 a mile and $2.46 or $2.43 a mile or whatever between the two loads. So one of the loads was real dog shit, but the other load was pretty solid. And the two loads averaged together to be decent. But that was one of the dedicated runs I was looking at. This is the other dedicated run And you could do that one in a week. That was 7 days. 7 days to run those 2 loads. This is another load that I was looking at, dedicated. This one is just shuttling containers between Oklahoma City and Dallas, doing about 8 loads, 8 round trips per week, 16 loads per week. So 8 round trips. The loads were paid in round trips. So it's going to be a lot of paperwork, a lot of bills of lading, and you have to handwrite every bill. And they don't have any information on the weight or the contents of the trailers. They don't know what's in the trailers. They don't know how much they weigh. And so you have to scale every load and fill out a hand bill or a freight bill by hand. But this was a dedicated run I was looking at. The 2 dedicated runs pay nearly identical. The gross pay of the Seattle, Washington, Kansas City run was about $7,500 per week. The gross pay of the Dallas to Oklahoma City was $6,700 a week, $800 a week less. But when I broke down what my expenses would be, it comes out to not $800 difference, but closer to about a $300 difference. I would be making about $5,100 per week after expenses doing the Washington run, and about $4,800 a week after expenses doing the Oklahoma City to Dallas run. So I called up the broker on this Oklahoma City to Dallas run, and we talked about it. He gave me a whole bunch of information, and I told him I wanted to do it, and I told him that I would start Wednesday night around 5 p.m., Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening. And he was supposed to send me the load information on Tuesday. I told him I would use Tuesday to get prepped to go out on the road, and then I'll leave out Wednesday evening. He didn't send me the load information on Tuesday like he was supposed to. He didn't contact me at all. He was supposed to send me an email on Tuesday. It didn't happen. Wednesday, he called me at 10 a.m. while I was asleep. I prepped the truck and did everything I said I was going to do on Tuesday. And then he called me at 10 a.m. and I just rejected the call. I was about 2 hours. I'd just gone to sleep at like 7 a.m. And he calls me at 10 a.m. So I rejected the call, and I was like, hopefully he'll get the hint and he'll send me a text message and an email instead of calling me. He didn't. He called back like 30 minutes later, an hour later, somewhere in that area, woke me up again. This time I answered the phone. And he was like, oh, did I wake you up? Like, you could tell in somebody's voice that they're half asleep. He was like, oh, did I wake you up? And I was like, yeah. I told you that I'd be ready to roll at 5 p.m. So if I'm going to start a drive shift at 5 p.m., then I have to sleep during the day, right? I said, you were also... He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I was like, yeah, you were also supposed to send me an email with all the information yesterday. I didn't get an email from you. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'll book a load for you right now for tonight. And I was like, no, don't bother with it. Let's just not do this. Maybe we'll give it a try at some other time, but for now, let's just not do this. All right, thanks. Bye. I hung up. I just don't want to deal with a broker. Like, I'm going to be booking 16 runs per week with this asshole. He and I got along really well. He was a really nice guy. So as far as personal relationship, he's the kind of guy you'd want to hang out with. Really cool, really laid back, really awesome to talk to. Business relationship, we had very few things that we needed to do to start this. And he did absolutely fucking nothing. I did everything I told him I was going to do. I was ready to go when I told him I was ready to go. And he did nothing that he agreed to do. I don't want to get into a business relationship with somebody like that where I'm going to have to interact with them 16 times a week, because he said that I have to call him up to get get my load leaving out of Oklahoma City, and to get the load coming back out of Dallas. You have to call them on each trip to find out what trailer to pick up and to find out which yard you have to take it to. Because there's like 2 or 3 different places it can go in Oklahoma City, and there's 2 different rail yards they pull out of in Dallas. But anyway, let's. The broker pissed me off, and I just decided I don't want to deal with this bullshit. Like, the load already was paying, like, there were already so many negatives with this dedicated run. Yeah, if you look at the numbers, it looks like it pays amazing, and it does. It pays really well, but you're running 3,600 miles a week on both of these dedicated runs. Both of these dedicated runs are kind of shit. They're both kind of shit. The only reason that you're making decent money on both of these loads, or both of these dedicated runs, is because of how many miles per week you're doing. 3,700 miles a week is not easy to do. And to do that for a long period of time, you are going to wear out your truck real quick. And you're going to burn out yourself real quick running that many miles per week. I've had, 3,700 miles a week, 3,700 mile weeks several times. But it's not something I want to do consistently week after week. So, like, I was already, like, on the fence on both of these dedicated runs. So whenever more negative stuff happened, it pushed me beyond my what I was willing to deal with. So whenever that one fell through, I went ahead and woke up, because now I don't need to drive at 5 p.m. So I went ahead and my adrenaline was going. I just went ahead and got up out of bed after only sleeping for like 2 or 3 hours. And I called up the Kent, Washington, Seattle, Washington dedicated, and I was going to look at booking that one. So I talked to the broker about that. Everything was good. And then right as we were starting to finalize it, he mentioned that the return trip was hazmat. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, the return trip, it might or might not be hazmat. Like, sometimes when you haul it, it'll be hazmat. Sometimes it won't. I was like, all right, I don't haul hazmat. So, all right, thank you. And we ended the phone call. I do haul hazmat for the right price. I'm not hauling a hazmat load for $2.43 a mile halfway across the fucking country. That's a load of bullshit. So, yeah, the other dedicated for the Kent, Washington, Kansas City fell through. And that comes into the brokers providing misleading information. On that load, it was not listed as a hazmat load. They intentionally omit information like that to generate calls. The loads on the load board, those are, you have to think of them like commercials. It's marketing. It's like an advertisement in somebody's yard from a real estate agent, house for sale. They are trying to generate sales leads with those what am I thinking of? With those listings on the load board. They're trying to generate sales leads. Landstar, part of the reason they take 28% of the money, because I get 65%, the broker gets 7%, and Landstar gets 28% of the load. Part of the reason Landstar takes 28% is they're supposed to be policing both the drivers and the brokers. And they do a really half-assed job of policing the brokers. The brokers will just flat out lie on load listings to generate more sales leads. So they will not put that it's a hazmat load. They'll lie about the weight. They will, because they know a lot of people, whenever they're doing load searches, like me, I don't search for loads over 38,000 pounds. They know that there's a lot of people like me out there that in my search parameters, I'm only looking for loads under 38 or 40,000 pounds. Most of us don't like hauling loads over 40,000 pounds. So they'll lie about the load weight and get it down under 40,000 pounds to where it'll show up in more people's search results. And then they're hoping that they'll be able to talk you into taking the load once they generate that sales lead. Then it's, it's a sale. It's, all about talking you into taking that load. So they'll lie about it being hazmat. They'll lie about the weight. They'll lie about the rate per mile. I've seen them put in the wrong mileage on the load. There'll be a couple hundred miles short of what the actual load is, and it changes the rate per mile and it gets it up. I've seen them flat out lie about what the load pays. And this is becoming a lot more common on the load board, is that there are brokers that will just flat out lie about let's say the load's paying $5,000 and they'll list it for $7,000 on the load board. And that causes it to be higher up in the list of results because things are listed by pay. So the higher something pays, the higher up it is on the board. And let's switch back over to me. No, wrong button. So they will lie about that stuff to get it higher up in the results. And other brokers know the type of, like, they're doing the same shit. So they know what their competition, these brokers are in competition with each other to move these loads. So a lot of times you'll have 5 to 10 brokers trying to sell the same load. You'll have one load and 5 to 10 brokers will be trying to sell that load. Well, if one asshole is out there putting incorrect information to get theirs up at the top of the board, then all the other 4 to 9 brokers that are trying to sell that load, they know that they're not going to generate any calls. They're not going to get anybody contact them for the load because this one broker has it listed at such a higher price. Well, what they've started doing is those other brokers are just listing their load at that same ridiculous price as the other broker, and then down in the comments they're putting in, this load isn't actually moving at 7,000. This load is moving at 5,000, but other brokers are listing it at 7, so I listed it at 7. I've seen that in the comments section. So what should be taking place is those brokers should be contacting Landstar, and Landstar should be policing this shit like they're supposed to, but they're not. It's fucking infuriating because it wastes so much of my time. You call, like I called about a load just yesterday, a load listed for $8,800. I called about the load, went through all the shit of booking the load, and then as they were finalizing the load, they said, oh, it's not actually $8,800, it's $6,800. Will that be all right? I just about lost my fucking shit. You just wasted 30 fucking minutes of my time of, us talking about the load, me giving them my truck number and my trailer number and my email and phone number and all the rest of that shit. And just 30 minutes of, talking on the phone with this broker. And then after all of that, I'd agreed to the load and everything, then they tell me it's $6,800. You just wasted 30 minutes of my fucking time. So I said no. They even offered $7,000 for the load. And I said no. No. At that point, when a broker does something like that, I'm not doing business with them. So that is incredibly common over here at Landstar, is shit like that. So the brokers are not properly policed by Landstar, and it just makes the life of the drivers, the people working off the load board, it makes our life miserable to have to deal with these sorry sons of bitches. I fucking hate these brokers over here. And I think that's the reason so many veterans, like almost every veteran driver at Landstar I have talked to personally, like Carl and Ron, the one that told me about the dedicated run between Oklahoma City and Dallas. Just about everyone I've interacted with that's been at Landstar for a while, they just find a broker that they like and they just haul loads for them. They don't care what if they're getting, like, they flat out told me that they don't care. Ron told me, no, what's his name? Carl Carl told me it's probably not a smart way to run, to just haul whatever the broker gives me, but he said that he doesn't like working off the load board. So Carl, a 35-year veteran with Landstar, refuses to. He won't even look at the load board. He said that he hasn't looked at the load board in over 10 years. That should give you an idea of what it's like working off the load board at Landstar. These brokers just make it a fucking miserable existence. And if it was like this over 10 years ago, that tells me that Landstar is not going to change anything. It's been like this for over 10 fucking years. So nothing is going to change. These brokers are just like the most worthless. Like, oh my god, I'm getting so fucking mad just thinking about these sons of bitches. Like, if I'm a very confrontational person, I have a very short fuse, and if I were like in the same room of one of these assholes and they did some shit like this, I would probably beat the fucking hell out of them. Oh my god. I'm sorry. Let me calm down a little bit. I'm just getting fucking pissed off right now thinking about these damn brokers. I interacted with several brokers this past week trying to get loads, and it was just every fucking one of them was some bullshit drama of them not putting the correct information on the loads, of them just lying about shit. And then I'm sitting there asking questions. I ask a lot of questions whenever I'm booking these loads, and I eventually get out of them where they've lied or manipulated, and once I get that piece of information, it's usually a deal breaker. So, and then, there's just a whole bunch of other shady tactics that they use to just generate. It's all about generating phone calls. They're just trying to, trick drivers into calling them. You call them up, oh, the load's not actually available. It's in a hold status. Let me get your number, and I'll call you back whenever it comes out of hold, if it comes out of hold. When might it come out of hold? Sometime in the next 1 to 2 days. So they're just trying to get a list of drivers so that they can, call up a driver and say that they have a driver available for the load. I mean, I'm not a broker. I don't know all of the ins and outs of the shit that they do and why they do it, but there's a lot of things that they do that just make it really miserable to work off the load board. You have to have thick skin, and you have to have perseverance to be able to work off Landstar's load board. It is, if you're the type of person that gives up, like, I may be confrontational and I may have a short fuse and stuff like that, but I'm not a quitter. I will keep pushing through. They'll piss me off, but I'll keep pushing on. But yeah, it's like, man, dealing with these brokers is a fucking nightmare. Let's look at the load board. Let me I gotta log in and stuff like that, so let me see here. Search available loads. Let me get it set up. Okay, so let's talk about the load that I'm going to do. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, let's talk about the load that I'm going to do. Let's go back over the spreadsheet. So, I tried to get this load for 3 days. I called about this load on Wednesday, and they told me the bullshit about this being on hold. I saw it relisted on Thursday. I tried to get it on Thursday, and the broker wouldn't even answer the phone. And then while I was trying to call them for about 30 minutes, nobody would answer the phone. This is a different agency, because this is a spot market load. The load disappeared from the load board while I was trying to reach them for 30 minutes. And then the load was put back on the board on Friday. And I called, and I was able to get the load on Friday. So let's talk about the load that I booked. So the total pay of the load is $6,500. The mileage is $1,547. So the $6,500 is the total pay. of what the load pays. I don't get that much off the load. We'll talk about what I get off the load here in a second. So at the total pay of $6,500 and 1,547 miles, it comes out to $4.20 per mile is what the load is paying. That's the full amount the load pays, is $4.20 a mile. The load is going from Joplin, Missouri to San Diego, California. And if you've watched my videos, then you know that the Southern California, the Los Angeles area, the Los Angeles market is a premier market. It is one of the best places to pull loads out of in the entire country. It's almost impossible to not make good money leaving the Los Angeles area with a load. You have to be like a next level moron to not make decent money leaving the Los Angeles area. So, to find a load that pays well going into the Los Angeles market is not easy. There are a lot of people that are trying to get over to the Los Angeles market for whatever reason. They live there, or they know that it's a good paying market, so they're just trying to find any load they can to get into that area. Whenever you see a load pop up on the load board anywhere in the country that's going to the Los Angeles area, those loads will disappear quickly. And loads typically pay below market average to go to the Los Angeles area, because it's such a highly sought after destination. So let's say the load average in Oklahoma City is $2.50 a mile. They will probably post a load going to Los Angeles or the Los Angeles area for $2 to $2.30 a mile is what the price that they're going to try to get. And they'll probably end up moving it at that price, even if the market average for Oklahoma City is $2.50 a mile. They will most likely be able to move a load going to the Los Angeles market for below market average, because it's such a desired destination. So to find a load that's paying above market average or even market average going to the Los Angeles area, those loads are hard to get. They do happen, but they're hard to get. And to find a load that's paying well above market average going to the Los Angeles area, those are unicorn loads. So what this is that I have is a unicorn load. To get a load paying $4.20 a mile going halfway across the country to go to the Los Angeles area, that is fucking amazing. So why is this load paying such a ridiculous premium? Because they get 24 hours to load. And in all honesty, I'm fine with that. So what I have to do is I have to drive up to Joplin, Missouri, which is a 200-mile deadhead for me. I have to drop the trailer off Monday morning, and then I pick the trailer up on Tuesday, and then I drive to San Diego. And I can deliver as soon as I can get there, and the place is open 24/7. It's a cross dock. The broker referred to it, they used a different term other than cross dock. They used a term like trans something. Trans something. I forget what term they used to describe the cross dock operation, but I was like, what? I don't know what that means. What is that? And then she said, it just means that they take the stuff out of your trailer and put it directly into another trailer so that they can take it across the border to Mexico. So I'm taking it to San Diego to a cross-border operation. And it's just, the term that I've always known is cross-dock, which means that they just take it across the dock and out of your trailer, they take it across the dock and put it right into another trailer. But the broker used a different term for trans something. But this place is supposedly open 24/7, and I don't have a specific appointment, and I can deliver it whenever I get there. So that right there just in my opinion, completely nullifies the 24-hour load time. Because whenever you have a set delivery appointment, usually you have almost an extra day on the load whenever you have a set delivery appointment. If a place is open 24 hours a day and you can deliver it as soon as you can get there, you can get rid of that load so much quicker than if you're dealing with set appointments with places that are just open during the daytime. So, yeah, that 24-hour load time is, in my opinion, just completely nullified by such relaxed delivery appointment. So that's amazing. So let's talk about the numbers on what I'm making on this load. So the total pay is $6,500. How does that break down? Well, they're paying 36 cents a mile fuel surcharge. That comes out to $556.92 in fuel surcharge. And they're giving me $250 in layover pay. This is what's considered accessorial pay. And why do they break it out like that? Why does it make a difference if if they break something out? So out of the $6,500, they'll do what's called breakout money. They'll break it out. They'll break out some of that money into fuel surcharge, some of it into layover, some into extra stop pay, driver assist unload pay, things like that. All that stuff is considered accessorial pay. Anything that they break out and they pay you in a different type of pay is considered accessorial pay. Why does that matter as an owner-operator or any driver working on percentage? It matters because you get a different percentage of accessorial pay. Almost all accessorial pay is paid out at 100%. Landstar does not take a cut of your accessorial pay. The broker does not take a cut of your accessorial pay. So, you want them to break out as much as they can because that increases the total amount that you're getting of the load. So they're breaking out $556.92 for fuel surcharge, $250 for layover for the day that I'm getting loaded, a full day to be loaded. And so now we can break down my percentages of what I'm getting paid. So what it comes down to is $5,693.08 of line haul pay. That is what Landstar gets 28% of and the broker gets 7% of, for a total of 35%. So I get 65% of the line haul. 65% of that $5,693 comes out to $4,225. Then I get 100% of the fuel surcharge and the layover. Now, accessorial pay is not all paid at 100%. There are certain things that you don't get the full 100% of. I don't know what they are off the top of my head, but I know that they exist. Most accessorial pay is 100%, but not all. All of this happens to be 100%. So I get $4,225, the 65% of the line haul, plus all of the fuel surcharge and all of the layover, and that comes out to $4,781.92. So if you take my total gross to the truck of $4,781.92, based on the mileage, my rate per mile that I'm making on the load is $3.09 per mile. So the load's paying $4.20 per mile, and I'm getting $3.09 per mile. So I am making $3.09 per mile on the load. That's just on the loaded miles. That's not considering my 200 empty miles to go pick the load up. So that is a really good paying load. So that's the load I have. Now let's go look at the load board. Let me get it pulled up here. Let's see. I'm just double checking some parameters here. All right, let's set the minimum to $6,500. I honestly don't want to see loads less than $6,500.
$3 a mile minimum. 45,000 pounds. Hazmat. Oh man, do I want to look at hazmat loads? Yeah, we'll go ahead and look at hazmat loads. All right, Fontana. Now let's do out of San Diego. San Diego, California, and we'll do 250-mile radius around San Diego. Multi-stop loads. Yes, we're going to do multi-stop loads. And we're going to do hazmat loads. And we're going to do loads up to 45,000 pounds. We're just going to see everything that's out there. So let me hit search. What the hell? All right. Excuse me. It's not letting me pull up the web page. Okay, so I was going to pull up a second search window and take a look at something, but I can't. It's giving an error on Landstar's website. Let me try it in a different browser. Bear with me a second here. Now I forgot what in the hell I was opening up a second browser to look at. Oh. I was looking at total loads. I haven't seen the total number of loads drop below 50,000, and it's been setting at exactly 50,000 loads for a couple of hours. So I'm starting to think that maybe their load board is hard-coded to show a minimum of 50,000 loads, and that's what I was checking, was to see if it would drop below 50,000. Sorry. Let me take a sip of this. Maybe it'll help with my throat. Strawberry Fanta. Oh my God. Nectar of the gods. It is amazing. All right. So, let me pause this while I switch it over to the load board, because sometimes it takes the blur effect a couple of seconds to pop in. All right. So we're looking for loads, 250-mile radius around San Diego. And what we're looking at is basically the crap that's left over on the board. These are loads that nobody wanted, or loads that brokers forgot to remove from the load board after they got covered. So Compton to Tampa. That load is listed multiple times. What could have happened is there might have been 10 different brokers trying to move that load. Actually, no. This one is a direct shipper load. It has a Y right here that's direct shipper. So that load is actually available. Compton, California to Tampa, Florida. 32,000 pounds of general goods. Picks up on Monday. It's paying $4.26 per mile to go 2,454 miles. Would I haul that load? Fuck yeah. I'll go to Tampa for $4.26 per mile coast to coast. Now, for anybody who's not familiar with, rate per mile and markets and all kinds of stuff like that, Florida is one of the worst markets you can take a load into. So you need to get paid really well to go into Florida, because you're going to get paid nothing to come out of Florida. You're either going to take a really cheap load out of Florida, or you're just going to deadhead to Georgia or somewhere else to get a load. And what is good pay on a load depends on mileage. So, is $4 a mile good pay for a load that's going 100 miles? No, absolutely not. $4 a mile is absolutely shit money for a load that's going a really short distance, like 100 miles. That is absolute dog crap. There's no way in hell I would touch a load going 100 miles that's paying $4 a mile. I wouldn't even, no, I would be pissed off at seeing that load on the board. We do not get paid for load and unload time. We only get paid for moving the load. So we have to take into consideration load and unload time on the rate per mile that we're getting paid to move the load to make it worth our time. So even though I'm only going to spend like an hour and a half, 2 hours driving that load, I'm probably going to spend 3 hours getting loaded and 3 hours getting unloaded. So the total amount of time that I'm spending on that load is probably somewhere in the area of 8 to 9 hours. It's like a full drive shift. How much do I try to make in a full drive shift or in a full day? This load's going to take, that 100-mile load is probably going to take all day long. How much do I try to make in a day? $1,000 gross to the truck per day. That's what I try to make. Is $400 a day anywhere remotely close to that? No, it's not. That's dog shit money. I don't touch that kind of crap. That's the reason I have minimums whenever I'm searching for loads. Just searching by rate per mile is not enough. You need to search by like a dollar amount minimum, because a $7 a mile load that's going 5 miles, you're not going to make any money doing $35 loads. So rate per mile, you can't look at just one thing whenever you're looking at a load. So the shorter the load is, the higher the rate per mile needs to get. The longer a load is, the lower the rate per mile can be, with it still being a good load. A coast-to-coast run at $3 a mile is a pretty damn good paying load. $4.26 per mile on a coast-to-coast run, even going to a bad market, that's like crazy good money. Would I haul a load into Florida at $4.26 per mile if it were only going 1,000 miles? Probably not. But a load going 2,400 miles paying that much? Hell yeah. So yeah, this load is paying really well. Let's look at the notes and see if there's any drama with this load. Flexible delivery. Ask about accessorials. So I'm not seeing any drama on this, and they're talking about they're going to be paying out some awesome accessorial pay, and that means like I get more money. So $10,500 load going to Tampa. You know what? I'm going to try to get this load. You know, this load picks up on the 28th and delivers on the 2nd, or the 1st or the 2nd, and it has a flexible delivery. Man, like, this is a really amazing load. Why is this load still sitting on the board? Let me see when this load was posted. It might have just been posted today. You know, brokers typically work at banker hours, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. But you can't, they do post loads in the middle of the night or on weekends and stuff like that. It's not impossible. So this was posted on the 25th at 1:18 p.m. So this was posted at 1 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, Friday. So this was posted late Friday. Man, I would fucking love to have this load. Even though it's going to Tampa, it's a terrible place to be. I would love to have this load. Man, that is an awesome load. What else we got going on here? Hartford, Connecticut. No, I'm not wanting to take hazmat. These top 2 loads are hazmat. Richmond, Virginia. I'm not completely opposed to going to Richmond, Virginia. You know, for a good load, I'd go to Richmond. Neither of these loads are too terribly heavy, 20,000 pounds, 30,000 pounds, but they're both hazmat. Why in the hell would I haul hazmat across the country at the exact same price I can haul something that's not hazmat? There's so much bullshit you have to deal with a hazmat load. That's the reason I generally don't even display hazmat loads in my searches, is because they don't really pay enough of a premium to get me to deal with them. So these Compton to Tampa. Oh my God, those are good loads. Why in the hell are they still on the board? Compton to St. Augustine, Florida. This one's paying 2 cents a mile more, but it's a little bit shorter mileage, same weight. It's the same brokerage. All of these Compton loads are the same brokerage. These are all really good loads. Hell fucking yeah, I would take a $10,000+ load to Florida. Yes, I would do that. Here's one, San Diego to Dunbar, West Virginia. 41,000 pounds of machine parts. I'm guessing that's what MACH stands for. It is not hazmat, I don't think. Nope, it's listed not as hazmat. Yeah, it is machinery or machine parts. So it's heavy. But I'm not going to have any deadhead miles. It picks up, and it's going, it's a coast to coast run, but it's $4.30 a mile, 10 grand. Like this is the reason it's so good to get over into the Southern California market, is that it's just like they're just throwing money at you. Just fucking, it's hard to not make money coming out of Southern California. If you're not making money coming out of Southern California, then you're like, I don't even know. I don't know how to, it doesn't make sense to me. It's nearly impossible to not make money coming out of Southern California. Yeah, there's just tons and tons of really, really, really good loads here. So let's sort by rate per mile. And remember, I've got it set up to only show loads over $6,500. And there are 435 loads showing up. These are loads that solo dry van drivers can haul. So what you're seeing right here on the load board is these are only loads that I can haul. There are no team loads on here. There are no flatbed loads on here. There's no reefer loads on here. There's no loads on here that a solo dry van driver like me can haul. Well, did I say that right? There's no loads on here that I can't haul. Let's put it that way. And I'm just your standard dry van, 53-foot dry van. And I'm not going to deal with permit loads. So 435 loads over $6,500. So let's sort by rate per mile and just see what kind of unicorn loads there are. All right. Los Angeles, California to Pueblo, Colorado, paying $7.60, $7.66 a mile for 30,000 pounds of hazmat. Is that like a really good load? No, that's dog shit. Number one, it's hazmat, so it has to pay a premium for hazmat. We've been looking at loads coming out of this market, and right around $380 a mile, $370, $380 a mile is really standard for coast-to-coast runs coming out of the Los Angeles market. So something that's shorter than that should be paying a higher rate per mile than that. So now we're getting into the $4 to $4.50 per mile for shorter runs. Something that's only 1,000 miles should be paying around $4 to $4.50 per mile. So we'll go with $4.50 a mile. Then it's hazmat. That needs to pay at least 50 cents per mile. So now we're at $5 a mile. Then we're talking about Pueblo, Colorado. Colorado is one of the worst markets in the country that you can go into. It's, in my opinion, it rivals Florida. So is $7.66 a mile a good rate to go there? It's not good. It's not bad. They are paying a Colorado premium. They're paying a hazmat premium. They're paying a short mileage premium. Yes, this is like, I think it's actually paying, I think that this could actually move at $6.50 per mile. They might be able to move this at $6.50 a mile. So this is paying $1 a mile more than what I think it should be priced at. And this load is supposed to pick up on Monday. So this is a desperation rate of them trying to get the load to move. I still don't think it's it's not an amazing run. I wouldn't haul this load. Hazmat into Colorado, no. I would rather take the load going cross country to Florida rather than take this one. Carson, California to Winlock, Washington. Washington is another terrible market to get into. Probably not as bad as Colorado or Florida, but this MEC, this is hazmat. This is explosives. So this is most likely fireworks. All of these listings right here, these are direct shipper. So these are not relisted spot market loads. There are actually 4 different loads that are supposed to pick up on Monday. Actually 2 of them are supposed to pick up tomorrow on Sunday. And they're all going to Washington. This is most likely fireworks. It's class 1.4 explosives. I've looked at this load earlier. Let's see. They have the accessorials broken out on this, so let's see if they're paying any extra for hazmat pay. No, these worthless sons of bitches don't even pay fuel surcharge. Loading and unloading. So they have $150 unload pay and $150 load pay. So they're not paying fuel surcharge. They're not paying a hazmat premium. So they can pay in accessorial pay. They can pay like hazmat pay. So they're not breaking out any of this money. They're trying to squeeze as much as they can. Because all the money that the broker gives you in accessorial pay, that reduces the amount of money that they make on the load. Yeah, that's probably why all these loads are just sitting on the board right here. There's no way in hell I'm hauling explosives to a shitty market. Heavy explosives. Like a truckload of fireworks. Have you ever seen those YouTube videos of like the sheriff's department disposing of fireworks, like blowing them up out in the desert? Yeah, could you imagine your truck catching fire, hauling fireworks? It makes a big explosion. One of these trucks full of fireworks, man, that would be a huge explosion. Get into an accident. Oh man, that would be terrifying to get into an accident hauling a truckload of explosives. So why in the hell would I haul this load 1,000 miles into a shitty market for $6,500 when I can haul another load 1,000 miles into another shitty market for $1,500 more? Doesn't make any sense. Santa Fe Springs to Billings, Montana. Most of these loads, now that we're sorting by rate per mile, most of these loads are going into pretty bad markets. Montana, Washington. Alright, now we're getting down in Los Angeles to Plainview, Texas. This isn't bad. $5.88 $5.88 a mile, $5.88 a mile. $8,000 to go about 1,400 miles from LA to Plainview, Texas. I don't know where Plainview is at. I don't know which major city that's next to. But it is hazmat. 37,000 pounds of hazmat. Washington, Montana. Here, we're back to Texas. Arlington, Texas. San Bernardino to Arlington. $5.69 a mile for 42,000 pounds of hazmat. I mean, this just gives you an idea of like what the loads are like coming out of Southern California. And it's just pages and pages and pages. 435 loads that a solo driver can haul. A solo dry van driver can haul. They're paying over $6,500 and over $3 per mile. Those are my two search parameters. So yeah. I've searched for loads that pick up after July 1st or later. I'm expecting to deliver on July 1st. So this is showing loads that I can't pick up. You know, loads that are picking up as early as Monday. Well, I'm picking up my load going to San Diego on Monday. So obviously I can't pick up a load coming out of San Diego on Monday. Whenever I search for loads that pick up July 1st or later, there are some good ones on there, some decent ones. But I'm hoping to get better than what's on the load board right now. So I'm going to wait, and I'll watch the load board Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and Thursday. And I might wait until the last minute to get a load, because one of the best times to book a load, it's also one of the worst times to book a load, is Friday afternoon. Everyone is desperate Friday afternoon. Drivers are desperate to book a load Friday afternoon, and brokers are desperate to move a load Friday afternoon. So, because these brokers generally don't work over the weekend. So if you don't have a load Friday, you're going to be sitting through the weekend. So I deliver this load Thursday. I might just camp out and look for a load on Thursday. And if there's nothing amazing, then I'll set and wait until Friday and see if I can't get some really amazing load on Friday. The other problem is that it is July 4th weekend. So this is what happened to me last time I went out on the road, is that I had to deal with a holiday weekend. It was Memorial Day weekend or something like that. And there was almost nothing listed on the load board on Friday going into that holiday weekend. Thursday was a really slow day. Friday was dead. And then Monday was a holiday, so there was nothing on Monday. And then Tuesday was a light, day. Wednesday was kind of, a fairly normal day. But, a lot of loads were being posted on Tuesday and Wednesday, but they were disappearing quickly. So the total load count of loads sitting on the board stayed low that entire week following the holiday weekend, because there were so many drivers that took off that holiday weekend, and they were all coming off that holiday weekend looking for loads. So just as quickly as loads were being posted, drivers were taking them. There weren't a lot of loads sitting on the board, but there were a lot of loads being posted. So I don't know. I might get really lucky and get an absolutely amazing load coming out of Southern California right before the holiday weekend, or it might just die off, get really slow, and the loads may just go to crap. And I may end up setting through the holiday weekend in Southern California. I don't mind. I don't care. Like, I'll take time off down there in Southern California. I don't mind at all. I've never been to San Diego, so I'll just find a place to hang out. I'm not going to go to the beach or anything like that, but I might just sit there and just chill out at the truck stop for the weekend. Take 4 or 5 days off down in San Diego. I hope that doesn't happen. I would really like to grab a load and drive through the holiday weekend. I would love, oh my God, I would absolutely love to get that Tampa load. I would love to do that. I-10 across the country. I would love to get that load. Even though, Florida's a terrible place to be, I would love to get that load. But we'll see what all's on the load board whenever it comes time for me to actually book a load. We'll see what's there. But me personally, I would love to get that Florida load. Absolutely love to get that Florida load. That would be really, really nice. That would be really, really nice. I would really love to get that Florida load, that Tampa load. Yeah, that would be pretty sweet. I don't mind, I'll deadhead 300 or 400 miles up to Georgia to grab my next load. I don't mind. I've done it many, 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 many times. So not a big deal. I'll deliver the load and then drive on up to Atlanta and sit there and wait for a load. What I usually do is after I deliver a load in Central Florida, I'll drive up to, is it Lake City, Florida? I get Lakeland and Lake City mixed up. One of them is up at the I-10, is it 75? I-10, I-75 junction. So it's up at the top central part of Florida. I think that's where Lake City is at. And then Lakeland is down in between Orlando and Tampa, in that industrial park right there in between Auburndale and all those places. I think Lakeland is the one in the south and Lake City is the one in the north. But I get those two mixed up all the time. But what I generally do after I deliver a load down into Tampa, Orlando, the central Florida area, is I'll just immediately just deadhead up to north central Florida, up to Lake City, and just sit there and look for a load. And that gets me within a decent distance of Atlanta and Savannah and other areas. The likelihood that I'm going to find a decent load south of there is nearly impossible. So, but man, we'll see. I might be. Let's crunch the numbers on that. What was that load paying? 10,000. Let's search by revenue again. Compton to Tampa is paying 10,500, 10,485 or 10,458. So 10,458. So I have no idea what they're going to pay in fuel surcharge. What's the mileage on that? It is 2454. All right, let's switch back over to the spreadsheet and let's crunch some numbers on this. So let's copy. It's 2454. 2454. So 2454. All right, let's say that they're very generous with fuel surcharge, because they mention in the comments that ask about accessorials. So it makes it sound like they're going to pay out really good in accessorial pay. And the highest fuel surcharge that I've gotten since I've been at Landstar was like 72 or 82 cents a mile, somewhere in that area. So let's say that we're getting about $1,500 in accessorial pay. That comes out to 61 cents per mile in fuel surcharge. What would be my total pay on that load? It would be $8,300 is what I would make on that load. $8,300. So in a week and a half, I would make, let's see, 5,000 plus 8,000. That'd be $13,000 in a week and a half is what I would make gross to the truck. 13 grand in a week and a half, not even 2 weeks. It'd be barely over a week. What is the time on this load? This is the 28th through the 1st, and it's flexible on the delivery, so you can basically deliver it as soon as you can get there, is what they make it sound like. So there are 30 days in June, so that's 3 days. So this would actually be less than a week. So the load, this load going to San Diego is a 3-day load, and then the load going to Florida is also about a 3-day load. So a 3 to 4 day load. I'm probably going to have to do a 24, or not a 24, but a 34-hour reset at some point on these loads. Because if you look at the mileage, it's about 1,600 miles plus 200 miles deadhead on the San Diego load. So that's 1,800 miles plus 2,500 miles. That's 4,300 miles. You can't do 4,300 miles. Yeah, there's a lot of 80 mile per hour speed limit on I-10 and stuff like that. I have done over 800 miles in a single drive shift running on I-10. So maybe if I really push my truck and just absolutely destroy my fuel mileage and I travel really fast, if I run really hard coast to coast, I might maybe be able to do both of these runs without doing a 34-hour reset, but most likely I'm going to need to do a 34-hour reset. Or I'm going to have to drag this out for an extra day or two. Something. It would be really hard to do this many miles in a 7-day period. So what would probably be ideal is if after I delivered the San Diego load, I just took a 34 and picked this load up afterward. But actually that would not work out very well because then it would be in the weekend. So I need to pick my next load up before the weekend. And because of the holiday weekend, it's probably going to have an extra day on the load. So I should have enough time to do a 34 out on the road on the next load. But I might maybe be able to do these two loads in a single week, and that would be a $13,000 a week. That'd be crazy. And what's my rate per mile that I'm making on this? So on the Florida load, I would be making $3.38 per mile. That's nice. So I'd be making $3.09 per mile on the first load and $3.38 per mile on the second load. Now, does that put into context why those two dedicated runs were such dog shit? Those two dedicated runs, I was making like $1.90 to $2 per mile was the rate per mile that I was making after all of the percentage cuts and everything. Wait a second, was that after the, or was that, was my rate per mile after, yeah. So this was just based off of, let's see, that's J19 and J20. Yeah. So that wasn't after. I was just double checking to make sure that this rate per mile was not after expenses. So it's not. This is just total gross to the truck rate per mile. $2.02 a mile and $1.90 a mile. And just pulling loads off the load board, $3.09 per mile and $3.38 a mile. But these are two really, really, really amazing loads. They're way above average loads. They're not normal, but you're still talking $1.10 to $1.40 a mile extra over what those dedicated runs are paying. It's quite easy to make a better rate per mile than what those dedicated runs were paying. So, yeah, if I could make $13,000 gross in a single week, just think about that. It sounds really amazing. You know, a lot of people are probably looking at this breakdown of that of these two dedicated runs, and they're seeing that I can make about $5,000 a week after expenses. I'm making about $7,500 to $6,700 per week. We'll say $7,000 a week. I'm making about $7,000 a week gross to the truck, and then about $5,000 a week after expenses. And a lot of people are like, man, that is amazing, especially when I break out what that comes out to annually. Like if I were to do this Dallas run 39 weeks out of the year, I would be making almost $190,000 a year after expenses. $190,000 a year. A lot of people would love to make that kind of money. But those loads are paying well below market average right now. So if you look at the kind of loads that I can run off the load board, like a mediocre week off the load board is a $7,000 week. And then you can occasionally have one of these weeks that are like over $10,000. So I can make twice as much in a good week just running loads off the load board. Like this is 13 grand. And I don't think you can do it in a 7-day period. It would be really, really, really hard to do in a 7-day period. You might be able to do it in a 7-day period. So $12,000 to $13,000 in a single week would be incredibly difficult to do. I'm sure that people do it, but it's not something that you could consistently do. Something that you could consistently do is like $6,000 or $7,000 gross to the truck per week. That would be pretty damn easy in the current market. Yeah, that would be really easy in the current market. And then you have a couple of weeks where you do above average. So let's say that your normal week is like $7 grand a week in current market conditions. Well, that's what you're making on the dedicated account every week. Well, occasionally you have weeks where you're making 10 grand running the spot, just running off the load board. So your average just running off the load board is better than those dedicated. You're sacrificing a lot of money doing that dedicated run just so that you can have consistent pay. Because it's hard to be consistent with anything running off the load board because of dealing with these damn brokers and all of the fake loads on the board and stuff like that. You waste a lot of time dealing with loads that aren't real loads, or they're just they lied about information on the loads, or the loads aren't even real loads. Maybe that broker hasn't even made an offer. They have no idea if they can get it for that price. They're just trying to get a driver to agree to take the load. Then they'll reach out to the broker and see if they can get it at that price. Things like that. One of the things I really wish. Let's switch this back over to the load board. One of the things that I wish Landstar would do is modernize their load board. What I would love for them to do is like what Convoy, JB Hunt 360. I've heard that Coyote and what's the other big one? Coyote Logistics is a huge brokerage, and then another big one is why can't I think of them? This load that I'm hauling is their load. Like the load that I'm hauling to San Diego is that's the brokerage that I'm hauling a load for, is the one that I can't think of. It's like the biggest brokerage in the country. Oh my God, let me pause this and look at my email. C.H. Robinson. I think C.H. Robinson has their own board. I think Coyote has their own board. Not 100% on that, but I've heard that they modernized their boards. JB Hunt 360 has a modern board. Convoy has a modern board. All these modern boards have bid offer systems in them, where, like, you see these loads on here for like 10 grand. You can just agree, put in an offer. Or accept the load. You can like click on a button to say, hey, yeah, I'll haul the load at what you posted. And then the broker will get that notification, and they can accept your offer, or they can reject it. And they can reject it and put a note in there that the load's already covered or something like that. Or if you don't like the price that they're offering, you can, instead of putting in an offer for the load, you can bid the load. You can put in a bid and say, I will do this for, $15,000. 10,000 is too cheap. I'll do this for $15,000. And your bid will just sit there. and they can reject it, they can accept it, they can counter it. But basically, it gets rid of that stupid fucking phone call. So you can be sitting here negotiating 5 to 10 loads all at once rather than just dealing with one fucking phone call for a half an hour. It is like, I do not fucking understand why Landstar does not have that system in place right now. Dealing with this shit over the phone is such a huge time sink. It is archaic. Who the fuck, like, does business over the phone these days? This is like, Landstar is like working in the past on this bullshit. It is really frustrating to have to do all these phone calls. I don't like talking on the phone. And if they had a bid offer system, then it would just make everything so much easier. You'd be able to accomplish so much more. You'd be a lot more productive, a lot more efficient with your time. You know what? I'm going to send a fucking email to Landstar. I'm going to find where you can do suggestions. Let me pause this. All right, so they're having a lot of issues with their website right now, and I had to actually open up the load board into Google Chrome, and I'm writing up. I found a place to send feedback, and I'll read off to you what I got. I don't have it set up to show Chrome as a browser. I only have it set up to show Firefox. Plus, I had to put in my name and email and a bunch of personal information in the comment or in the suggestion form. But let me actually, you know what? I can copy it out and put it into Notepad++. I have a thing set up for Notepad++. All right, so I just typed it up. Now we'll proofread it together. See if I want to change anything. Notepad++. All right. Please modernize the load board. Add the ability to communicate via text on the load board. Something like an interested button. Bid and offer options would also be nice. The broker could message back with load information, and you could have an accept reject button on the load. We could exchange information via text on the load, like truck number, email address, phone number, etc. Having to call on every load is an archaic, outdated system. It wastes a tremendous amount of time. I typically spend 5 to 30 minutes on a call inquiring about a load. I could be inquiring about 5 to 10 loads in that same amount of time if the load board wasn't something designed in the 1990s. Thanks. So let's go back to just the camera. The camera was offset right there. I'm not going to mess with it. So I'm good with that. I just hit the send button. Fucking get out of the 90s, Landstar. They probably have management that's been in there for 30 or 40 years, and like they think the load board is amazing. Like they were probably there whenever it was designed in the 90s. Jesus, man. All right, so this video is getting long. I should wrap it up. I can't get the load board back open in Firefox. Let me try opening up the website again. No. I just get an error in web application. So I think they're having issues with cookies or something. If I completely close out of the browser, then I might be able to get it back up. But we're near the end of the video anyway, so let's just wrap it up. You know, I did a Landstar review. We talked about why I didn't do the dedicated runs. And I would show you the route that I'm planning on taking, but this is a CH Robinson load, and I have two. I received two contracts. I received a freight bill from the brokerage at Landstar, and I received a contract from CH Robinson on this load. And the CH Robinson contract says that I can't talk about this load to anybody. So I can't give out the addresses of where I'm picking up the load, where I'm delivering, and stuff like that. I have to, leave out information. Otherwise, I could get in trouble with CH Robinson. Now, I do have a question. I doubt many people have stayed on in the video this long, but I would love to show you on a map. But the route that I'm thinking about taking to this place, in Flagstaff, Arizona, I can take I-40 and switch over to the 17 and take that down to Phoenix. Or in Winslow, Arizona, I can hop onto State Road 87 and take that down to State Road 260. Actually, not 260. Yeah, 260. 87 to 260. Actually, I think it is still 87. Yeah, 87, and then 87 runs along 260, and then it turns back into 87. So I can take Highway 87, or State Road. It's not a highway. It's like a state road or something. I don't know what exactly its designation is. But out of Winslow, Arizona, I can take 87 all the way down to Phoenix, or I could just drive up to Flagstaff and take 17 down to Phoenix. I've taken the route from Flagstaff I've taken the 17 route, Interstate 17. I've never taken this state road, and this state road is a 2-lane bidirectional throughout a lot of it. But there are sections where it's 4-lane, and there are sections where it's a divided highway. Looks like it's County Road 87. The Duthie Martin Highway. I don't know. It looks really sketch. It's really windy in some places. And let's see here. 1572. Versus 1559. So it says that it is 13 miles shorter to go that route. And it's going to take 22 extra minutes. It says it's 22 hours and 30 minutes if I take Interstate 17, and it is 22 hours and 52 minutes if I take that state road. So I'm just going to take 17. I was going to ask if anybody has ever taken that little cut through right there. Is it worth it? But no, this is telling me that it is going to be much better to just take Interstate 17. So yeah, it's a pretty damn easy route. I need to figure out my fuel stops tonight. Actually, I can do it tomorrow, or I can even do it on Monday. I can figure out my fuel stops. I have enough fuel in the truck right now to go all the way to Joplin and all the way back to Oklahoma City. So I can get fuel in Oklahoma City, and then I'm going to want to top off fuel before I go into California, probably down in Yuma, Arizona. Right before I cross the border into California, I'll top off fuel. And I might grab fuel somewhere in between. I'm just gonna have to check prices all along the route. So Oklahoma has really good fuel prices. Texas has decent fuel prices. New Mexico fuel prices go up, and then in Arizona they shoot up dramatically, and then in California they're just absurd. So I'm gonna have to do a lot of fuel route planning on what I'm gonna do. But anyway, I should wrap this video up now before it gets, too terribly much longer. But that's what's going on with me. And once I hit the road, I'm sure I'll start making a lot more videos. But what I plan on doing is tomorrow, around, I don't know what time I'm going to leave the house. I'll probably leave the house around midnight, go down and get the truck ready and leave Oklahoma City by about 1 a.m. And it's going to be about a 3-hour drive to Joplin. I'll get there about 4 a.m. I might actually try to leave a little bit later than that. I need to look up the location I'm going to. Let's see. I can't show you the location. Let's see here. Let's look at the reviews of this place. Why are there... Why is it not letting me look at the reviews? Let me pause this. I can't find any information online about this place. I looked through my contracts with C.H. Robinson and with Landstar, the freight bill and all that, and the hours listed on there are 5 a.m. to midnight. So I'm guessing that this is a 24-hour facility. But I'll probably end up leaving Oklahoma City around 1 to 2 a.m. and I will end up arriving in Joplin about 4 or 5 a.m. And if they're not available, they do have, it's not like a secure part. Their place is not secure. So if they're not open, I should be able to park at the place, and they have plenty of plenty of room for me to park, and I can just wait for them to open, and then I can go in there and find out where they want me to put the trailer, drop the trailer off, and then there's I think it's a Pilot truck stop in Joplin that has a huge parking lot. It is just crazy ridiculous, like how many parking spaces this place has. I just bobtail down there after I drop the trailer and just hang out and go to sleep or play video games, whatever I want to do, and wait for the trailer to be ready. Hopefully it's one of those things where when the trailer's ready, they call me, and if I drop it off early enough, maybe it might be ready Monday night. That would be phenomenal. If I drop the trailer off real early Monday morning at like 4 a.m., went down to the truck stop, slept, and then they called me at like 6 or 7 p.m. Monday evening and told me the trailer was ready. Oh my goodness, that would be phenomenal. I'm not going to bet on that, but the reason that would be amazing is because I would be able to start driving at night, and I would be able to drive overnight and be on a night schedule. That would be absolutely amazing. I love being on a night schedule. But I would be able to, leave Joplin at like 7 or 8 p.m. and that would be perfect if I could leave Monday evening. And just the faster I can get to San Diego, the better, because we have this holiday weekend coming up. I think the holiday is actually on Sunday. Let me see. The holiday, the 4th, is on Sunday. So most places are probably taking Monday off. But some places may be taking Friday off. But what the deal is that the faster I can get this thing delivered, the more likely it is that I'm going to be able to find a load before the holiday weekend, and I'm not going to be stuck in San Diego through the holiday weekend. Now, that's not going to hurt my feelings if I have to sit in San Diego through the holiday weekend, but I would prefer to be rolling through the holiday weekend. I just spent a couple of weeks at the house, and I'm not looking to take a whole bunch of time off right now. And if I can get a load right before the holiday weekend, then it's probably going to be a casual load that doesn't deliver until after the holiday, and it's probably going to have an extra day or two on it. And I'm just going to be able to casually drive across the country over the weekend. So that'd be pretty sweet. Although the good thing about sitting in San Diego through the holiday weekend is that I'm not going to be driving through the holiday. July 4th is one of the worst holidays to be on the road during. July 4th weekend is get drunk weekend, and get drunk and go to the lake weekend. So there's a lot of people out on the road on the July 4th weekend. It is a very, very, very busy time out on the road. A lot of extra traffic, and it's a lot of drunk drivers. The two worst times of the year, in my opinion, to be out on the road is July 4th weekend and New Year's Day. So those are the 2 days when it's just like socially acceptable to go fucking get shit-faced drunk in public. I don't understand it. Like, I don't drink alcohol. I don't do drugs. And I don't understand why people go out there and just get to a point where they can't remember who they are or where they're at, or, they have just a big blank the next day. Like, oh, do you remember, peeing off that bridge onto that guy's car? Oh, no, man, I have no idea. And they're like, I don't remember doing that. That's fun for some people. I don't understand that. I'm sure it's fun for the people around that idiot, watching them do stupid shit. But how is it fun for the person that's actually like so drunk that they're just like, oh, anyway, that's a whole different subject for a whole different video. But yeah, so there's good and bad with having to sit through the holiday weekend in San Diego. Driving through the July 4th weekend is very, very dangerous because of fucking morons that make bad decisions and put other people's lives at risk by, doing things like getting inebriated, getting stoned or drunk, or taking a whole bunch of pharmaceuticals or whatever, doing whatever to be in a condition where they shouldn't be behind the wheel of a vehicle, but they choose to anyway, and they get out there and put everybody else's lives at risk because they're not capable of safely operating a vehicle in their altered state of mind. So, I don't know. Hopefully, best case scenario, I get this load delivered Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, and I'm able to turn and burn and grab a load going to like Tampa, Florida for 11 grand or something. That would be pretty sweet. That would be pretty damn nice. I would like to do a coast-to-coast run. I would really like that. I don't like going over to the East Coast, but I'll suck it up for a coast-to-coast run. And I've never driven over in the East with Landstar. I've avoided it. So if I get a coast-to-coast run going over to Florida, that'll give me an opportunity to, drive over there in the East with Landstar and see if it's any different from USA Truck, see if I like it a little bit better. If it's just like super easy to get amazing loads over there with Landstar, then maybe I'll start running there more often. With USA Truck, it was difficult to get good runs in any part of the country. It was actually easier to get good runs over in the western area. Like USA Truck runs 35 East. So whenever you were over here along Interstate 35 and in places like Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Kansas City, up in Wisconsin, places like that, I found it to actually be easier to get loads over here because there's not as many USA Truck drivers
that are over here on the edge of USA Trucks territory. Most of their drivers are further east, so you're not competing with as many drivers for loads. I found it to be a lot easier to get loads. The good loads sat on the load board longer over in the western area. In the central United States, which is USA Truck's western operating area. So, I don't know. We'll have to see what it's like running with Landstar over in the east. I'll most likely end up with a coast-to-coast run. But the thing is that coming out of Los Angeles, that market, sometimes you can get loads that are only going halfway across the country. 1,500, 1,800, 2,000 miles that are paying just as much as the loads going all the way across the country to Virginia or Florida or someplace like that. And why in the hell would I drive an extra 500 to 1,000 miles for the exact same amount of money? So maybe I'll get a load going to Kansas City. It's only like 1,600 miles, paying $9,000 or $10,000. I'm going to do that load rather than get paid almost the exact same amount of money to go all the way to Florida or Virginia or something like that. So we'll just have to see what gets posted. That would be pretty nice. I don't know if I would stay out on the road. Like if I got a load coming out of the San Diego, Los Angeles area going to Kansas City that was paying like 10 grand, that means that I would pocket somewhere in the area of about $8,000 plus, well, probably be closer to $7,500. So $7,500 plus, what am I making on this load? Right around $5,000. So that would be like $12,500 that I'd be making in a week. That's what I made last time I was out on the road. I made 10 grand last time I was out on the road, and I was out on the road for 3 weeks. So if I made 12,000 in a single week, once I got to Kansas City, would I be like, you know what? Let's just go back to the house and chill out for another month? I don't know. That's the great thing about, being an owner-operator with the business set up the way I have it set up with my low expenses and high revenue, is that, if I feel like it, I can just drive back. I deadhead 300 miles from Kansas City to Oklahoma City and just take another couple weeks or a month off or whatever. Or I can stay out on the road and make some money. Most likely I would stay out on the road because Kansas City is a really good market. So if I got a load going to Kansas City, I would try to find another load coming back out. Like if I could find another load going from Joplin back, that would be amazing. If I could just keep getting loads going from like the Los Angeles area to the Kansas City area and then back and forth, because Kansas City and Joplin are not very far apart. Interstate 49 runs straight in between the two of them. It's not very far. So if I could just loop that around, that would be amazing. That would be absolutely phenomenal to just do these really good paying loads out of Joplin down to the Los Angeles area, and then get loads out of the Los Angeles area back up to the Joplin area and just do that. That could be my thing. And if I could make 10 grand a week doing that, that would be pretty fucking awesome. Because I could work a couple of months out of the year and take the rest of the year off and be perfectly content with that. If I was making 10 grand a week gross, let's say that I was making $7,500 a week after expenses on 10 grand a week gross. So 7,500, let's say I worked 3 months out of the year. Instead of working 9 months and taking 3 months off, let's say I just worked 3 months out of the year. That would be, a quarter of 52. 52 divided by 4. That is not 13 weeks. So a quarter of the year. So 13 times 7,500. That would be almost $100,000 a year. That'd be $97,500 a year after expenses, I could live perfectly happy on that. I am not like an ambitious person. I'm not out here trying to make as much as I possibly fucking can. So if I were able to make $100,000 in 3 months, I would probably take the other 9 months out of the year off. That's probably what I would end up doing. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We can play, you know, the what if game all day long, Fantasyland bullshit, but I don't think it'll be too terribly difficult to make that kind of money. But who knows when the rates are going to change? Who knows when the market's going to crap out? We've been at a really, 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 really good market for a long time. It's not going to stay amazing forever. We're going to have a downturn, and then we're going to come back up into a good market. The downturns are really good because it gets rid of a lot of the garbage carriers. It gets rid of a lot of people that don't have their businesses set up properly. Even bad businesses can stay in business in a good market. But once the market goes back to normal, or we go to a bad market, then all these people that have their businesses set up poorly, they'll go out of business. And this is a supply-demand industry. So you get rid of the number of carriers or the number of trucks on the road, and it puts the supply-demand in the favor of the carriers versus the shippers and receivers. So we can get better rates when all these shitty carriers go out of business. So anyway, yeah, it's over 2 hours. So let's wrap up this video. I don't have any awesome closing statement, so just thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye.